Hello there, fellow NPCs. I'm Scythe, and today we're getting back into the house in Fata Morgana, Requiem for Innocence, and we are turning insane, essentially. Jacopo was recently had his life attempted to be killed. How the fuck do you? What were the words I was trying to say? There was an attempted murder on his life. That's the stuff I wanted to say. And yeah, he recovered from it, but he still thinks that people all around him is out to get him. And now anyone who goes against his wishes needs to die in response. Yeah. So Barney was correct in the end. Not sure if I like it. I don't want Barney to have any kind of redeeming qualities like I got insane because this is a hard job. No, not like that. And he actually had some good advice at the end of his life. You know, nah, that's boring. Don't like that. I wanted him to be really through and through evil, you know, without any redeeming qualities. Either way, we're going to watch Jacopo lose all of his redeeming qualities. So with that said, let's go. Odilon's blood was on my hands. My inexperience and naivete had gotten him killed. He had warned me, again and again, that my people had no love for me. But I ignored him, foolishly believing in friendship, letting Gracia into my house and ultimately getting Odilon murdered. My trust didn't belong with Gracia or my old slum companions. It belonged with Odilon. I should have realized so much sooner that he was the one and only person left I could trust. Men with whom I had spent years had likely participated in that riot. Men whose name I knew, whose faces I recognized, with whom I had spoken on countless occasions. But I felt not even a pang of regret in ordering their deaths. I didn't reminisce about the good old days. Those days were gone, irrelevant, meaningless. I felt no sympathy for the people they were leaving behind, nor did I so much as bat an eye when I saw their bodies lined up before me. Compassion bred weakness, made you vulnerable. I had to exercise every last bit of it. It was the last thing I needed. For I was the Lord, Jean-Francois Barney. Hey, look at all those heads. Supposedly they were beheaded for trying to assassinate the Lord. That seems like a lot of folks for an assassination attempt. Who can say what happened up yonder? Have you been down to the square today? I have, my heavens! I almost passed out at the sight of it. Why would those stupid thugs try to go after the Lord anyway? There's been whispering around town. They say he was actually born in the slums and isn't a noble at all. Wasn't that just discovered while he was hiding from the phony Barney? I certainly hope that's the case. But either way, it's probably best to keep quiet about the topic. I'll say. I doubt he'll do anything as bad as the phony, but it still brings back bad memories. And things were getting to be so pleasant too. Yeah, Maria is... I cannot believe that Jacopo would do this. What is this? Some kind of sick joke? Fucking Gracia's right at the very front. And the other guys he used to hang out with at the pub. Did you kill them all, Jacopo? You killed all your old friends. Why? What the hell, Jacopo? So she doesn't know about the assassination attempt? Because, I mean, it would be a reasonable... Well, it's reasonable to kill them back, I mean, as the attempted murder is happening, but not so reasonable to portray their heads on pikes. That's not acceptable. You would never hurt anyone. What happened to you? You went through hell with these guys. How could you just fucking murder them? Well, they did throw the first stone, as it were. Have you really changed that much? You have, Jacopo. You've become a completely different man. No, you're long dead. You died in that goddamn revolution. The Jacopo I know no longer exists. All that's left is Lord Barney. Everyone, they're all gone. You, Morgana, Jaren, Gracia. Every last one. What the fuck, man? I pondered a new console shortly after Odilon's death, but he was an ineffectual, short-sighted oaf. And to top it off, he had a tendency to simply nod and agree with anyone and everyone rather than express any opinions of his own. If anything, having him around made my job more difficult. But it wasn't as though there was anyone else competent enough to take the position, and relieving him so soon would come up with its own crop of problems. So I ended up using him to shuffle papers and handle other menial work while I took care of the actual decision-making. My first order of business was to establish clearly defined rules and punishment. Speaking ill of the Lord, spreading false rumors about his lineage, creating art of any form which could be interpreted as defamatory. These were all considered acts of lèse majesté, and, in the most severe cases, were potentially punishable by death. I started seeing results almost immediately. The people stopped claiming I was a fake, that I came from the slums. The Barney name became the symbol of fear once again. My renovation efforts proceeded as originally planned. The city flourished as a commerce hub, attracting merchants and patrons and visitors from near and far. Some fields had to be removed as well to accommodate the expansion of the marketplace, but they were hardly producing anything worthwhile to begin with. If farmers wanted to keep farming, they were free to move elsewhere. I scaled down the size of the slums while scaling up security. Lacking leadership, what little remained of the peacekeeper group had turned into a gang of unruly thugs. So rather than keeping the peace, they largely made things worse. In response, I forbade the formation of unauthorized organizations within the slums. And with all that in place, the city was much safer and more orderly, and the economy significantly stronger than it had been under my predecessor's rule. However, those unfortunate enough to miss riding the wave of economic growth found themselves falling even further behind their neighbors. The ravine between the poor and the wealthy had become nigh uncrossable. My own manor was hardly a bastion of safety either. Not only was I rapidly enacting new policy, laws were stricter and punishment harsher than before, so many were, to put it lightly, more than a little displeased with me. I'd gone through several food tasters and just as many direct assassination attempts. It wasn't particularly difficult to avoid major incidents by simply suspecting everyone, but I could seldom relax as a result. In time I came to prefer solitude. Well, not so much prefer, as require it for my own safety. Odilon's death left me with more than just solitude though. The phantoms lived free from my dreams, appearing from my shadows whenever I was alone, laughing endlessly. What did I tell you, boy? You were controlling them with fear, just as I did. It's a wonderful feeling, is it not? The look of terror on a man's face is the most exquisite thing in all the world. Silence, you. Stand by the window and listen. You can hear them, all the way from the bottom of the hill, bemoaning the great and terrible Lord Barney. Be quiet. And you know who their cries are about. It's not me any longer. It's you, boy. Shut up, goddammit! Don't fool yourself. You're no better than me. Enough! I said silence, spirit! I'm nothing like you! Is that so? Then tell me, boy, how do we differ? I don't hold those disgusting banquets for one. Nor do I torture slaves for my own sick pleasure. By your command, hundreds of slaves are being worked so hard it will surely spell their deaths. How is that any different than murder or torture? Their deaths aren't meaningless. They're giving their lives for the good of the city. In your eyes, perhaps. But how many would take your side? You have no idea what you're talking about. If the people were truly satisfied with your rule, you wouldn't be holed up in this room all the time. You have no one you can open up to, no one to offer you companionship. What better proof of your tyrannical ways than your own isolation? Shut your damn mouth! You wretched man. How many times have you been betrayed? Have you found anyone you can trust after all your friends proved you couldn't even count on them? Oh, for God's sake, quit babbling already! Solitude will be your constant companion for the rest of your days. And should you let your guard down even for a moment, know that 100 men lie in wait, ready to plunge their blades into your back. Your attendants dream of the day they can sneak poison past your taster. Shut up! Ah, you poor, pathetic child. How much misery and stress have you brought upon yourself because you let your dreams run amok? Clawing your way up into a world much, much too big for you. Be gone, damn you! My lord, I heard a huge crash. Lord, how many times do I have to tell you to stay out of my chambers? Forgive me, but I was afraid you might be in. I can take care of myself, damn it! Don't make me say it again! Yes, sir. To hell with you. We're nothing alike. I'm making their lives better, not worse. I am not a tyrant. I started relying on alcohol to rid myself of the phantom. When I was drunk enough, I didn't have to see anything. I didn't dream. I didn't have nightmares. And most importantly, I didn't have to think. There were times I couldn't be sure whether I was in my right mind. There were times I was so panicked I wanted to scream my throat raw. But there was never a time I was safe showing that weakness. I knew from experience it would only put me at risk. I couldn't complain to anyone. I couldn't ask anyone for help. I couldn't believe in anyone. Odilon's dying words came back to me again and again. Stay strong and ever high of heart. What did it even mean to be high of heart though? Certainly I had nothing to be proud of. Not having spent my early years as a filthy, impoverished slum rat. Not having spearheaded a violent revolution and stolen the throne. Not this farce of a tale about me secretly being a noble. I hadn't been raised to be a lord. I hadn't been taught to have a proud, noble spirit. That was likely what Odilon had wanted to impart on me. The nature of a ruler. The people automatically respected a man who is truly dignified and noble. They instinctively admire him, kneeling out of a wholehearted honor. And that's what makes a true king. Not knowing the first thing about how to be that kind of man, I fell back on the only alternative that came to mind. Forcing them to kneel beneath my iron fist. So that's interesting. He is saying they can't respect him because he comes from the slums, that had he been born noble and a ruler, they would respect him automatically. That is what he's saying. So, his goalposts have been moved. Instead of just having power, you have to have always had power. It's kind of like... I don't know what I was going to say, I forget. But yeah, he's just moving the goalpost, and somehow I guess he is saying that people respected the old Barney, but that's not true. He's going demented. 2 years under Odilon's tutelage was nowhere near long enough to instill in me the natural nobility I needed. Thus was I left to be tormented by this accursed phantom whenever alone and play the ruthless ruler elsewise. In my attempts to mask the fear lurking within, I grew louder and more ostentatiously contemptuous. Practically every other word out of my mouth was an insult. The old Jacopo was long gone, and Lord Barney had crept in to take his place. It was gradual enough that I hardly realized it was happening. But now, all I saw in the mirror was the face of a cruel, wretched man. I even came to hate my old self. Think him foolish. What kind of a vapid, nebulous dream was I want to go out into the world? What basis did I have for thinking myself any more significant than any other kid on the streets? And where the hell did I get the idea that having influence meant having freedom? I could barely even take care of myself. Where did I get off on thinking a little power would let me protect the people I cared about? And what about now? What, fundamentally, did I even want now? What did I have to protect? Nothing. I was too far gone. There was no light to be found no matter how far I marched this path. and only a bottomless abyss waited at my back. I had left myself with nowhere to return to. Before I knew it, nearly 4 years had passed since the revolution. By then, not a soul dared defy my will. I was surrounded by the people who supported my every decision. Few of them genuinely agreed with me on everything, obviously. But no one could deny how much growth I had brought about, and so long as I continued to produce results, I would continue to have their outward support. As a trading hub, the city flourished, but the citizens were less than thrilled about the work I was doing. The poorest, especially, seemed to hold a great deal of enmity for me. But I was reaching the point where I couldn't manage on the support of the upper crust alone. Simply dumping sacks of coins into the streets wouldn't end poverty, though, and increasing taxes on imported goods would undermine everything I had built up. Lacking an actual solution, all I could do was work to make them feel like they were better off than they actually were. Fortunately, it was much easier to pull the wool over the middle and lower class eyes than it was the better educated upper class. I started by building a public recreational facilities, which the citizens had a priority access to. And then I turned my eyes towards religion. About a year earlier, as a part of the city's expansion, a bridge was built across the river that served as the city's effective border. A church had still not been established in the new district, so I wanted to build one and gather a following. Conveniently enough, my predecessor had been in the process of building a second manor on the other side of the river, and with a little bit of work, it could easily be repurposed into a church. Once people started making use of the church, it would be simple to win their favor by making myself known as a generous patron. Faith was the ultimate blinder for the uneducated, and history showed time and time again that religion could be a powerful tool in the right hands. But the high foreigner and merchant population in the city meant that no one particular religion had managed to take hold. The merchants especially tended to develop their own individual philosophies over the years, with few caring much for higher powers. That was a possible explanation for why the church had never had much sway in this region. There was, therefore, a chance the whole thing would just be a colossal waste of money. However, I had recently caught wind of a curious rumor. There was a nun serving at a small church at the far edge of town who people had come to refer as the Saintess. Marie, come here! Sister Marie! Oh, what is it? We picked some flowers for you. Take a look, they're so pretty! Oh, why thank you. They're beauty. Get it away from me! She actually fell for it! Hey now, how many times do I have to tell you it's not nice to trick people? You're too much fun to tease, Sister Marie. That's hardly an excuse, it's still wrong. I'm your big sister here, so you need to treat me like... Ah, there's a bug on your dress! What? No, wait, where is it? Get it off! Someone get it off me! Just kidding, there's nothing there. Get back here, little rascals! So her name's Marie. Not quite what I envisioned of the so-called Saintess. She seeks out orphans to take into her care and offer food for the hungry, shelter for the homeless, and rest for the weary. And where exactly do the funds for that come from? She covers it all herself, supposedly. I highly doubt she has that kind of money just sitting around. Look at that building, it's practically falling apart. Wait a second, I get it. She makes use of all the church's resources to fund her charity. That is correct, my lord. Is she really so foolish as to not realize that's unsustainable? The locals are quite fond of her, but the same cannot be said of the priest and other nuns. Her work is causing them great financial stress. I'm not surprised. Shall I summon her? No, don't bother. I've seen more than enough. Yes, my lord. What? You have something to say? No, my lord. I simply find it curious you would take the time to come all the way out here when you have far more important work to attend to. Not that I would ever imply your judgment is anything other than impeccable, my lord. I just thought this Saintess might be someone I knew. Pardon? But I was mistaken. They don't call her saintess because she does God's work. They call her that just because she's a damn good at two shoes. So much for words having actual meaning. Christ. I see. Lord Bunny? It's nothing. I'm heading back now. Yes, sir. Ah, Marie! Marie! The giant man's here! Come on now, be polite. Good day, Marie. The kids seem to be doing quite well. Oh, you have no idea. So well, in fact, that this little hooligan found himself a whole handful of bugs. And goodness, he's about to scare me out of my skin. A little mischief is a good thing. Their smiles wouldn't be half as bright at any other orphanage. I'm not sure about that. In any case, here's what I earned this week. No, no, no. I keep telling you that's not necessary. But you do accept tithes, no? Tithes. I don't remember. Yes, but still. I know it's hardly enough to cover what you need, but please. No, that's not what I mean. It's your money. You should use it for yourself. I have nothing to use it on. You'll put it to much better use than I ever could. Yeah, alright. Thank you. But try not to work yourself too hard, okay? I promise. Goodness, you really do make a lot in a week. I didn't realize carpentry paid so well. Indeed. I'm fortunate enough to have found good work. Maybe I'll leave the church and take up carpentry myself. Just kidding. You kid, but you would do quite well for yourself. You're strong enough to carry me, at least. That took every last bit of strength I had. Who is that man? Even with all the foreigners we get here, I've never seen anyone who looks like that. He is a frequent visitor of this church, though he does not appear to come for the charity. An Oriental, perhaps? Oriental? My former consul told me of them once. Vagrants from the Far East who supposedly looked much like that man. How curious. He may be able to fool the nun, but I know damn well no carpenter in the world makes that much in a week. There's something fishy about him. Look into that man. Tell me everything you find out about him. Yes, Lord Barney. Now, I'm heading back. In addition to the renovations for the church and gathering intel on the Far Eastern man, I made sure to keep an eye out for any unusual rumors or happening outside the city's borders. Of all the reports I received, the one that caught my attention was word of a witch who lived by a lake. This lakeside witch supposedly had miraculous powers, allowing her to cure any ailment, and the effect was transmitted through her blood. This wasn't the first time I had heard of the witch. An elderly woman who prepared and sold medicinal herbs. But I hadn't realized she also traded in miracles. It sounded like a bunch of snake oil to me, but she had allegedly cured that deathly ill young girl and started to make quite a name for herself. But on top of that, they also said the sound of the witch's first cry had ended a years-long drought in the village where she was born. This doesn't bode well. Why not, my lord? Try using a damn head once in a while, would you? Two competing denominations forming so close together. You don't see how that could lead to all sorts of headaches? The objective is to unify the people under a single banner, to which I then pledge my support and earn their favor. But that all becomes moot if their faces turn towards this witch. The people do love their heroes and miracles, after all. It is quite an attractive proposition, I must say. I'm mocking them, you buffoon. I beg your pardon. The chances of it growing into something actually worth worrying about are slim, but better to snuff the flame out before it spreads than sit back and hope it burns itself out. Shall I deliver an order for her to cease operations then? That would be best. Actually, no. I'll deal with this personally. You just keep your mouth shut and do exactly as you're ordered. Nothing more, nothing less. Understood? Yes, Lord. To start, summon the man from the church. A few days later, I was standing face to face with a man in my audience room. He seemed much less personable in person than when I had seen him with a nun. Stone-faced, cold, and faintly smelled of blood. Not that I could actually smell blood, but there was an animalistic air emanating from him. That much I had expected, though. I knew before summoning him that he was anything but a respectable man. I take you're the Oriental man who's been seen buzzing around a local church of late. That would be me, yes. What of it? Who do you think you're talking to, you impudent rat? Show some damn respect! Apologies. I'm not very familiar with the local customs or language. Very well done. You're fortunate I'm such an understanding man. Now, for the reason I called you here. You're the one who killed that cart full of slaves 4 years ago, aren't you? So, you know about that. I wasn't actually sure it was you, but now I have confirmation. Since then, one slave of the Far Eastern origin had remained unaccounted for. I think that would be you. That's right. You made one hell of a mess out there. Am I here to be punished? That depends on how our talk goes. If you think I'm going back to being a slave, you're fooling yourself. Pfft, I don't need any more damn slaves, and I certainly don't want you as one. You're obviously not finding any respectable work being an ex-slave, so I take it you're still in the business getting your hands dirty, are you not? I assume you're playing cat burglar or something, living off whatever you can swipe from the nearest unlucky bastard. Correct. Isn't it comical then, that you would choose God's sacred house to stretch your legs in, you filthy dog? I absolutely agree. I thought that would get a reaction out of you, but it seems you got no bite in you today. Never mind, let's get down to business. You're going to help me out with a little something I'm working on. Help you with what, exactly? Something that's going to make a lot of money. And if you lend a hand, I'll make sure you're well taken care of. Along with the church you're so fond of, and a nun you've taken a liking to. That nun of yours has made quite a name for herself. Out in the city proper, people have started calling her the Saintess. They're right about that. She is. The commoners love their heroes and saints. They eat that rubbish right up. But saint or not, you can't simply create food from nothing. Her work is causing financial troubles for the church, is it not? It is, yes. If you help me with this, I'm offering you an entirely new church, one where she has complete control to do as she wishes. She'll make it into the biggest church in the city. She'll be able to help even more people, which should surely please her. What would you have me do? Jumping at the first whiff of scraps. You really are a dog, aren't you? I don't like conversation that overstay their welcome. Pfft, fair enough. Then let's get to business. Not far from here lives a witch whose blood has the power to cause miracles. Miracle blood. Sounds like a sham to me. You never know. They say the sound of her first cry brought rain to the land where she was born. Same with the whole village from drought. And they say her blood has the power to cure any disease. I'll worry about the veracity of the rumors later. Right now, all I want is for you to capture her and bring her to me. Explain something to me, Lord. You said that if I helped you, the nun would be able to save more people than she does now. So how does capturing this witch accomplish that? I'm glad you know how to listen, dog. We'll be turning the blood into a miracle elixir, which she will then distribute to patrons of the church. In exchange for tithes, of course. Selling it, then. Selling isn't quite the right word, but if that's how you want to think of it, by all means. The commoner's beloved saint is handing out an all-powerful miracle medicine. They'll lap it up. And in turn, you'll make a fortune. Exactly. Money I can use to support her church. It'll be a boon to the city's economy as well. A single witch freedom is all it'll cost for everyone here to come out happy. So, what will it be? Will you help me? Or will I have to I'll help. I have no reason not to. Decisive and a good listener. Excellent. Once I've captured the witch, where do I take her? I have a mansion set aside where your nun can run her church. There's an observation tower on the grounds. The witch will be kept locked up there to ensure we have a constant supply of blood. Okay. When do you want me to get her? You're just chomping at the bit now, aren't you? I thought you'd hesitate at least a little, but I guess it was foolish of me to presume to understand how a killer's mind works. All the resources I put into investigating you and everyone close to you were wasted, it would seem. Do you even have a conscience? Don't act like you're any different. I assure you, I have a conscience. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't necessary for the growth of the city. No, I mean you're as much a murderer as me. You would never come up with a scheme like this if your hands were clean. The man's right. You're nothing but a murderer. How deep has the blood seeped into your hands? How many have you killed, claiming their lives necessary sacrifices? And how many more will die for your ambition? Silence, spirit. That poor, poor witch. Blessed with the power to perform miracles, only to win the attention of the villainous lord. It must be done, I don't have to explain myself to you. It's not like the old hag has long to live anyway. What the hell is a villainess about having her spend her final days for the greater good of the city? So many lives will be improved at the cost of only one. You keep telling yourself that, boy. But what you're doing is no different than my banquets. You're cut from the same cloth as the man standing before you. And the same cloth as me. Be gone, phantom! Watch your mouth, dog! Don't you dare insinuate I would ever condescend to your level. Damn it! That's the first time he's shown up with someone else around. A dog? At least you behaved yourself today. I'm pretty sure you're smarter than most people I deal with. And you won't betray me either. Who knows how much longer he'll live, though. Stay. Don't touch it until I say so. Oh, quite pouting at me like that. You're the Lord's dog. Stand tall and proud. Alright, here you are. Drink up. Looks like it's safe. Ah! I was thinking it was an emotional support dog, but no, it's someone that you can, a taste tester. I swear, so much work just to get myself a damn drink of water. When I heard about the Saintess, I thought it might be you, but it was someone else. I never did get around to resuming the search after Odilon passed. There's no one around I can trust with such a sensitive task. Though it's probably for the best if I never do find you. We can't go back to the way we were before. Not that there's much chance you're even still alive. If, by some strange chance, you are still alive, what would you think of the man I've become? Several days later than originally planned, the Far Eastern man finally arrived at the mansion. So we are completely skipping the part where he is chopping off Morgana's arm, I guess. And he's already recruited Mel, that's his name. That's what it sounds like in a way. But either way, that is going to be the end of today's video. Yeah. So we got a lot to look forward to. And also very little time left of the story, it would seem. Because Morgana is going to be drained of blood. I don't know how long she was drained for long. How long she was drained for. But yeah, when that is happening, she is going to die with everyone else in the city. So not much left here. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. And an extra thank you to all the members of this channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.